Good evening, everyone. This is Crane, the host of the ℕ𝕧 Inside Crypto podcast. Welcome back to another episode of our DeFi focus segment of the Inside Crypto podcast, where we talk about all things Ethereum. As usual, we're going to start off with our TLDR and then jump straight into the TVL on DeFi Llama for Ethereum. And lastly, we're going to talk about a quick news summary from CoinDesk. And then we'll jump into our stories for today, and then we'll be done. All right, so first thing on the TLDR today is Link staking. So if you're somebody who's been interested in Link, you maybe been into crypto in the last 2 years, you probably know what is Chainlink. You probably own some Link, but you probably have not been able to actually stake that Link and earn some interest from it. But Chainlink recently launched Link staking finally. And I think that is awesome that they've done that, and they've probably done it in a healthy way because they are one of the more established protocols in the crypto ecosystem. That's great, right? I think healthy staking is something that I think is going to categorize 2023 moving forward, especially because you can no longer get really awesome APYs because it's just not economically sustainable. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is Web3 education. So one of the things, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Twitter, if you're reading mediums somewhere, crypto is still lacking a lot in education. And here at the Inside Crypto podcast, we try to remedy that a bit, but we are just one sort of platform. There still needs to be a lot of education. I feel a lot of crypto influencers tend to go more complex and not go very broad, and we need more broader education. And to that effect, right, the Graph has a free education class. We get to earn an NFT from it. So that's something you guys might want to consider. The next thing we're going to talk about is transparency. So we talked about this in the last time we did our DeFi show, where MakerDAO invested $500 million into safer assets, US Treasury bonds, corporate bills. And so now they're displaying that data via Dune. And so it's transparent, right? So if you're a MakerDAO holder, you're somebody who votes in MakerDAO, you can now see where that money is going. The second to last thing we're going to talk about is complex strategies. So this is to deal with Frax Share and their partner, where people are creating complex auto strategies, right? Beefy is a good example for a Polygon token where they have auto compounding strategies. This is a complex strategy. And the last thing we're going to talk about today is a layer 2 bells heating up. So basically, ZK Sync has also partnered with Curve. We talked about Optimism and Curve a few episodes ago. And so they're going to ask Curve to be one of their launch partners, and they can use some of their treasury to incentivize Curve. So that's great, right? That everyone's trying to compete in the L2 space. We're going to see how ZK Sync compares to Optimism, because Optimism is rarely doing particularly well. All right, so this is our TLDR. Let's jump straight into our DeFi token. DeFi currently sitting at 95 cents, right, down 0.79% in the last week. Let's take a quick look at DeFi compared to the Graph. The Graph doing much better. DeFi compared to Synthetics. Synthetics also doing better. And DeFi compared to Curve. Curve doing much better. Okay. And so the current constituents, right? Curve number 1, 13.2%. The Graph number 2. Synthetics number 3, all the way down to Maker. Rocket Pool has dropped off the index. So these are the current constituents at the moment, because we just rebalanced late last week. Okay, and let's move on to Ethereum TVL. So Ethereum TVL currently at $31.21 billion, down 3.51% in the last 24 hours. MakerDAO dominant, 25.63%. So we can see MakerDAO at the top with $8 billion in TVL. Lido number 2 with 7.44 billion, but Lido's stretched across a few different ecosystems. Curve number 3 with a big difference between number 2 and number 3, 4.88 billion. And we go all the way down to number 10, Coinbase wrapped staked. What is this though? It doesn't. Oh, staked Ethereum. I didn't realize Coinbase had wrapped staked Ethereum at $1.3 billion. That is interesting. Okay, let's go on to our quick news summary. So as of 36 minutes ago, Binance says Polygon blockchain is the Web3 king. Now that's something I would agree with, especially when it comes to gaming. There is a fair bit of Solana gaming, but Polygon has Aavegotchi, they got OX Sunflowerland, they've got a bunch of other Web3 games. USDC issuer circle to add Solana support for Eurocoin in 2023. I would imagine that's some sort of Euro stablecoin. Then we go down the list of here. It says stablecoin issuer Paxos plans to hire at least 130 in Singapore. Okay. Singapore expansions. That is interesting because I've heard Singapore's crypto regulations are not the best. Bitcoin miner Hive blockchain holds 68 million of BTC, has no debt costs on equipment. Wow, that's very good for Hive, right? Not having any debt. Open interest in FTT futures doubles as Binance moves to liquidate FTX token holdings. So this is the latest and greatest story that's broken in the last 24 hours, talking about Binance and FTX. You can see the headline over here. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think Binance is in the right? Do you think FTX is in the right? Do you think FTX really is in trouble? Let me know what you think. All right, and that is it, guys. Let's jump onto our first story of today, which is about Chainlink. So today's Chainlink story is very simple. See if you're eligible for early access to Chainlink staking version 0.1 in less than 30 seconds. Connect your wallet, sign a message, view your eligibility. And there's a very quick video on the bottom of here which explains whether you're eligible or not. So don't forget, you need to have your link in your MetaMask wallet, and I would imagine your MetaMask and Link need to have done some sort of transactions at some point in the future. Like I have some Link, but of course it is on Nexo, so I will not be able to stake my Link at all. I think I wouldn't be eligible for the beta anyway. So if you are a Link holder, you do have Link in your MetaMask. This is something for you guys to consider. Let's move on to the next story, which is about the graph. This is by ℕ𝕕 𝕆𝕚. I don't know who he is, but he created this course on the graph. It says, in this guide, you will learn why the graph is a key protocol in the Web3 space, what problems it is solving, and how to join the different roles in the ecosystem. This is the NFT, Polygon NFT you get, right, once you get done with the course. A quick refresh on what is a blockchain, a quiz. Querying the blockchain data is really hard. The solution. So it goes all the way down to additional resources, the Graph Foundation. These are all the people who've completed it. 2,666 people. There's another course about the ℕ network as well. So really cool. So if you're interested in the graph, if you're interested in blockchain, you might give this one to go, right? 101.xyz seems like they have a few different courses that you can do. And let's move on to our next story, which is about Lido on Ethereum DVT pilot with SSV network. We've talked about the SSV network before. Hopefully you guys remember, but we'll talk about it just now. So it says, over the past month, as part of the execution strategy for Lido's next chapter, Lido has conducted an initial pilot integration of distributed validated technology with SSV network on the Goerli testnet. 8 node operators participated in these initial tests by creating Lido-specific SSV operators, running a shared operator in the Lido node operator registry on Goerli, and successfully operating performant validators using the SSV protocol. Why DVT? Distributed validated technology enables multiple node operators to run distributed validators, decreasing single points of failure and providing important benefits across decentralization and diversity, infrastructure resilience, and security. Okay. So SSV network integration, as part of Lido's continued commitment to researching DVT technology, Lido node operators conducted the first tests of SSV networks Shifu testnet, right? So Shifu is like master. 2 groups of operators created entries in the Lido operator registry by coordinating through a multi-sig. Okay, this explains that. This is the history, the next steps. Okay, so all this is doing, right, is making sure that Lido is becoming less centralized, I should say, which is great. We've seen issues with centralization on a few different places, so that Lido is making an effort to become more decentralized, safer, more resilient is a fantastic way to move forward. All right, let's move on to our next story, which is about Uniswap. For Uniswap, it says Uniswap v3 TWAP oracles in proof of stake. This explains what it is right here. A price oracle is a tool used to view price information about a given asset. When building smart contracts that integrate with DeFi protocols, developers inevitably run into the oracle problem. Uniswap v2 enabled developers to build highly decentralized and manipulation-resistant on-chain price oracles, time-weighted average price. Also, that's what TWAP is. Time-weighted average price oracles to help solve many of the demands necessary for building robust protocols. Uniswap v3 expands this with the added calculation and gas efficiency of TWAP oracles. Okay, so let's look at the summary. The 2-block Uniswap v3 TWAP oracle manipulation is still prohibitively expensive on top pairs in a POS environment. Potential manipulators need to move the price by a lot percent for a single block change the 30-minute TWAP oracle price by 20%, which requires sourcing an infeasible amount of assets and losing a massive amount of it to fees. 3-block and more oracle manipulations are more feasible, but the validator require a large market share to make this likely. This is currently not enough economic incentive to manipulate TWAP, but it's possible that the incentive materializes if usage and composability on Uniswap v3 continues to grow. Okay, what is TWAP? So TWAP stands for time-weighted average price. The TWAP was added in Uniswap v2 and improved in Uniswap v3. TWAP on Uniswap v3 calculates the geometric mean of relative prices of the two assets in a pool. The TWAP oracle feed is used by protocols as a reference price for on-chain assets. Many protocols struggle to calculate on-chain prices that are both reliable and accurate. Protocols need to ensure that they always can receive pricing information, but also want to make sure that it is accurate. Okay. Why would anyone want to manipulate TWAP? How does someone manipulate the TWAP? Oh, there's some math over there. How much does a 2-block 20% manipulation require? Ooh, damn, that's a lot of USDC wrapped Ethereum. Okay. So this is a fairly long blog post. What about multiple block manipulations? What can be done currently for the Uniswap protocol? Before discussing modifications, we want to clarify that Uniswap v3 is non-upgradable. This means that the current code cannot be changed at all, which makes it impossible to add new oracle types to the existing contracts. Ooh, that sucks. The Uniswap v3 contracts were designed to be non-upgradable because of the security benefits to the users of the protocol. Okay, so that makes sense. Non-upgradable contracts means that users can trust the contracts that are deployed are the same and can ensure the behavior of the contracts always remains consistent. Upgradable contracts also pose a threat to decentralization. That makes sense. Okay, so let's skip all the way down to the bottom for a conclusion. So protocols using the Uniswap v3 TWAP oracle to consume market information about asset prices. With the merge from proof of work to proof of stake, one of the main defenses of TWAP oracles was eliminated. With the merge of proof of work to proof of stake, one of the main defenses of TWAP oracles was eliminated by allowing a look ahead for subsequent block proposals. While the 2-block TWAP oracle manipulation is still prohibitively expensive, 3-block and greater attacks are technically feasible, though statistically very unlikely for validators with a smaller share. We have shown several ways to make these attacks more unrealistic, but all have trade-offs that must be considered. Okay, so guys, this is a lot of information as usual, right? With anything we do in any of the podcasts, all the links will be down in the YouTube show notes, in the publish.x notes, in the podcast show notes, so have a look over there. Let's move on to our next story, which is about MakerDAO. So it says the short-term bonds initiative of MakerDAO is moving in this first real scale stage with a $50 million investment today, 0 to 1 year and 1 to 3 year US government bonds ETFs. It's off-chain, but we're still committed to providing some on-chain data, transparency, June analytics. Okay, and there you can have a look at the data over here. You can see some of the amounts invested, right? $49.9 million. We can see the profit and loss over here. So loss over there, a profit over there on the top. And these are all the buys going on over there. So that is really cool. So very good if you're someone who's into MakerDAO and that MakerDAO is making a push for transparency. But I think in crypto, if you are not transparent, someone's going to come after you at some point. Good to see MakerDAO doing that. Let's move on to our next story, which is Curve. So it says proposal to launch Curve on zkSync. To support Curve's multi-chain mission and expand cross-chain experiences, we propose the deployment of Curve to zkSync 2.0 as a mainnet launch partner on behalf of the community. The zkSync ecosystem has over 150 projects committed to launching on mainnet, including top DeFi protocols, infrastructure, on-off ramps, etc. That's good that they have on-off ramps, because one of the things you guys will hear me complain about when it comes to Optimism, Arbitrum, all these L2 solutions is that the on-ramps are difficult, right? You need to have bridged Ethereum across to do some stuff, and it's just a pain. Deploying on zkSync will onboard new users and increase user activity on Curve by decreasing costs compared to Ethereum without security degradation. zkSync shares Ethereum's ethos as a free, open source project with a commitment to personal sovereignty, decentralization, and community ownership. Okay. This talks about zkSync. This talks about the proposal as well. Applications, references, technicality. So it says Curve will be the first major stablecoin swap on zkSync, unlocking opportunities within DeFi and giving users a better experience. Great. Okay, good. I guess not many people disagree with this. I wouldn't think anyone would want to disagree with this. Okay, let's move on to our next story, which is about SNX and the Suhail release. So it says, today, November 3rd, the Suhail release will begin. Here's what's included in this release. SIP 267, direct integration, implement a direct integration contract that allows approved integrators to tap into exchange functionalities with customized parameters. So the benefits of direct integrations with synthetics are threefold. More competitive offering, lower fees can be passed on to users, making synthetics and its overall ecosystem much more competitive from a fee standpoint. Aligned incentives for integrators, synthetics hopes to attract many new integrators with a partner program that rewards innovative solutions with lower fees, ensuring a constant positive feedback loop. Deeper control of fees. Fees can be changed on a case-by-case basis instead of adjusting fees system-wide. That is really cool. So different fees for different apps or different integrations within synthetics. That's awesome. Benefits for approved integrations. How do I become directly integrated? All right, so the approved integrations, Lyra Finance can access more competitive fees from SNX, which they can then pass on to its users. Atomic swaps from Curve Finance 1inch can become more competitive. That's always good. And many more for new existing protocols. It is November 7th. This integration is already released. If you are an SNX user or an SNX dev who has done some integrations, let me know what you think about it. I'd love to know. If you want to come on the podcast, also let me know as well. Let's move on to our last story for today, which is about the Top Gear Vault using Frax. Of course, Frax is back in the DeFi Ecosystem Index, and it says Tier 1 TVL cap 350k Frax. So you do need $2,500 in Frax in order to participate. So let's watch
Meet the Top Gear Vault.
And let me turn off the sound. So this is about a leverage yield strategy for Frax. This is using something with Ethereum and built on Gearbox V2. It has active risk management, so that is really nice. Deposited Frax is a collateral asset to open a credit account. Users can also deposit other assets. You don't have to use Frax and swap it for Frax in one transaction. A leveraged at the borrowing position is then opened and then swapped to staked Ethereum. So Lidos staked Ethereum via Curve Finance. The strategy earns the difference, staked at the staking yields and at the borrow cost. So very cool. Watch the whole of this video. This is an interesting strategy if you have the money to do that. And yeah, that is it for today, guys. We're actually under time, and I think we'll actually be under 20 minutes for today. So I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you enjoyed the last week's episode with Flare Network. It was awesome. This week we have Oleg Fomenko, the co-founder of Sweatcoin. You probably have heard of them. They were on Reddit a few months ago. But yeah, we recorded an episode with Oleg last month. His episode will be out this week. We talk about what they're doing, the sustainability of it all, what is Sweat and Sweatcoin, and 120 million users. So lots of exciting things to come from that. If you have any questions, let me know. And then keep an eye out for that episode this week, Friday. And then we'll talk to you guys then.